I'm on here today. I wanted to talk about something that is such a, I would call it the hot topic of the universe. And that topic is about relationships. Relationships. I always get a lot of phone calls for readings to do with, people who have questions. Greetings, Sophia. Greetings, Sophia. I get a lot of phone calls to do with people who are interested or they want to know about their relationships or whoever they're connected to. And, they want to know when they're going to see them, when they're going to hear from them, something to that effect. And I realized that, no matter what, I have to tell them the truth. And I have to tell them the truth is that the relationship starts with you. The relationship starts with you. And I know sometimes it can get quite confusing because it can be like a tricky factor that, greetings, Amber, that, you're told that you're connected to someone or you've had a relationship with someone for so long and you feel like as if nothing will ever happen, or you feel like, I want to move on to someone else. And, I'm always observing, I should say, how things happen, how we interact with each other. And I talk about how, it's not just healing of the self, but also how much do you know about your connection that you have to that person? How much do you believe in that connection? Do you really fully understand it? And especially for those who are on the twin soul path, hi, honey, that there's sort of like an energy of, maybe I should give up, or maybe this is not really what I think it is, or there's not a greater understanding. And so one of the messages that I keep hearing is that, firstly, what are the messages that I hear? So many messages that I hear is to detach from your outcomes, detach from what you're expecting to see, but still know in your heart that you're connected to that person. Don't allow anyone to tell you, I'm just suggesting, whether or not that person is your twin, or be conscious of who you talk to for readings, to get information and wanting to validate things from that person, or because you feel that whatever your twin does or says, that you run with it and feel that it's over, or, it's not worthy of anything. But it's important to know that there's more to the picture. There's more to everything than what meets the eye. And what it is that it's greater than what you think. It's just more than what you think. It's more than what you might be inclined to believe. And the reason is because we were ordained from the beginning of time to come back to planet Earth and to bring on these frequency and codes and changes and raising the consciousness of the planet, and still also to be in love. And, I know most people don't like to talk about that because with thinking about love and talking about love, some people associate love with pain, thinking that, well, if I'm in love, that means I'm going to have pain. If I'm in love with someone, that means that they're going to let me down. I'm going to be disappointed. And a lot of times, especially with the divine feminines, a lot of the pain that comes from within her is a connection to either a male or masculine energy. And so we've been closing out, majority of us have been closing out a lot of the old cycles of energy, karmic relationships. And the relationship could be someone you work with. It could be someone that you live with. It could be someone you're married to. It could be all these things, So pay attention to how everyone shows up in your reality, because 9 times out of 10, that person is reflecting something that you're either shifting or healing, or they're also a reflection of your twin, just in I call it sort of like a downgraded version. And a lot of times we might look at it and say, well, I'm done with this. I don't want to be bothered with this. But then it's still something we have to look at, because if we don't look at it, it's going to come back again and repeat itself again through someone else. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that I closed out 3 cycles of things in my life within the past 24 hours, as yesterday was 333. It was a 333 day. And most of it had to do with me being in my power and stepping in my power more, learning to say no, learning to love myself more, taking the time to nurture myself, you know what I mean? And then, because I know that I'm always there for others and helping others, then I still have to help myself, because if I'm not if I'm not 100% to par, then I can't do anything for anyone else. And so I had to detach more from knowing I'm not here to save anyone. We're not here to save anyone. We're really here to be in love. We're here to be in love. And most people don't talk about being in love. They just run away from it, or they feel like they want to run to someone else. But, ask yourself this question, like really, really wholeheartedly from your heart. If you choose and say that I'm going to try to go be with another soulmate, do you understand that they're carrying energy and something that's baggage or something to heal? So we can't run away from our own personal healing. We just can't. Okay, I'm going to read the comments. It says, Sophia, you're just saying to yourself that you're more inclined to your relationship with the divine. Right. And guess what? Some people don't realize that the relationship that you have with the divine is like, we're really having a love affair with the divine. We're having a love affair with God. We really are. So when you see your twin or your sacred partner, your true love, I prefer to say true love, look at that person as God, God and Goddess, whatever the embodiment is that, with that person, see it greater and see it more divine. Yeshua, also known as Jesus, him and Mary Magdalene were not able to get it as far as we have. And more of us are truly lighting the way back to love, truly moving through so much when it comes to healing. Okay. I had a huge revelation that came to me from someone who was like a father to me. I would say he is my father, my stepfather. And, sometimes we think that we like to stay so stuck into who we're connected to or who we're related to, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to find out something more as you keep awakening and peeling back these layers. You find out more stuff, And, what I talk about a lot in the book that I'm doing is that we're going through a life review. We're reviewing life. We're reviewing people that we talk to, the relationships that we have with each other and one another. When you transition out of your body, you go through a life review anyway. But what happened is we're going through this life review while we're in the body. We're ascending while we're in the body. But everyone gets to choose. For the past 6 months, I've already heard of, experienced, and seen so many transitions, so many deaths in my family or friends or somebody that I know, or illnesses that are coming up. And truly what it represents is everything that's coming into balance on the earth. There's some souls who are choosing to ascend while they're out of the body, and some while they're in the body. Then again, there's also some who are also manifesting illnesses that come back in the body if it was not addressed, with any type of pain. We are really, really having to pay close attention to how much we're healing with our emotional body. The emotional triggers, everything that has affected you emotionally in the past, in the past lives, everything. Because anything to do with whatever pain, sorrow, disappointments, rejection, abandonment issues, if you're holding grudges, anger, frustration, all of the stuff that has affected your emotional body, if you're not able to look at it and really heal through it and honor your feelings, you know what I'm saying? All of this plays a part in how you're able to come into a greater harmony with yourself. So when I go back to the twin soul journey, you connect to your twin, and then you get your triggers. And you're going to get your triggers not only from your twin, but also people who show up as your twin, right? So I don't call it false twins. I don't call anything false. I'm talking about someone who represents an aspect of your soul, okay? That may show up in a masculine form or a feminine form. It's how we perceive things and what we project that we're able to get a greater understanding of it. So you ask yourself, how am I looking at it? How am I seeing it from above as well as below? How am I seeing it from the third dimensional space and also the higher dimensional space, okay? And I call it completing the circle, because once you're able to complete that circle to how it's showing up, you find yourself having greater harmony, you see? So how I've been able to, what I did discover was that my stepfather, this is my brother's father who transitioned, and I realized that, oh my God, he looks just like my twin. I was like, and I started to feel something, and I was like, wait a minute now. There was something more that went amiss that I didn't realize. And so when I tapped into him, I started to feel certain elements of things that existed with my mom. Even though he wasn't married to her, he was married to someone else. But still, something was shown to me that there was something that was a different, greater love between them. Now they're both on the other side. And then there were things that I had to heal through and with my mother while she was on the other side and with him at the same time. So you see, we go through so much levels of healing with our emotions, and think about the patterns and stuff that you have repeated throughout your life when it comes to your love life, when it comes to your home life, your children, your work, your career, everything. And I had to go through a deeper healing with my mom, you see, because this is how we're healing so many of the ancestral wounds with our ancestors, you know. Even though we are the new ancestors, we're still healing something. So be mindful and conscious of what is showing up in your reality, and look at it, you know, objectively, and still honor your feelings at the same time, because I couldn't ignore it. I had to look at it. I had to see it for what it is. I had to also feel, you know, the emotions with my brother, with how he felt, because now he lost both parents, right? And sometimes God is going to put us in a place where we have to connect more to the spiritual world now, and not just the physical world. What are you seeing in your world? Do you see your twin soul in everything and all things? How are you connecting to that journey, to yourself with that journey, right? Are you still triggered by stuff from the past to do with your twin? Are you listening to the stuff that comes out of your twin? Because every time when I do readings, and I listen to, when people talk, and the minute they said, he did this, or he said this, and she said that, I said, well, where do you think that comes from with you? Because no matter what you do, you can't cut the cords to this connection. I don't care what anybody says. There's no rituals. There's none of that. That's all just like a false interpretation of what's going on here. This still has to do with what's mirroring between both of you. And so a lot of these karmic cycles have come to an even greater end for many of us, to do with what has happened in the past, to do with how one has felt, with the rejections and all the energy that has been like barriers between the pairs. And so as we continue to ascend and move through, I would say, into this new timeline of love, and this new timeline of what family is. What is a true family, to you? What is a true family to you in conjunction? Like, does it have to be blood related? Like, that's how much I was connecting to my brother's family, because some people still hold grudges and attachments to what happened in the past and think that they can't move forward in divine love. If you're not able to feel and to connect to love with everyone, knowing that whatever you're experiencing with them, that's the experience that you had with your twin in a past life or the present life. And if we don't face it, if we don't go deep into it, it's going to keep recycling over and over and over again, you see? And then also letting go of the attachments that's placed on relationships, because I know it's so easy to go back into the mindset of a relationship, when it comes to your twin. And when I say relationship, I'm talking about the day-to-day, how you communicate, what you might may or may not hear from them or talk to them, or what may be said, and then get so much into the programming of the expectations. And sometimes someone will say, oh, but I contacted them, but they're not responding back to me, because I get these calls all the time. They're not responding to me. And I say, well, what is your purpose? What is your intention behind it? Why are you doing it? Ask yourself. I mean, unless you're guided to, that's different, But I'm talking about when it's a consistent, ongoing thing that you're doing, because then it has to do with how are you relating to yourself with communicating, and do you have a need to have to physically get the communication, or are you able to feel that communication from your heart now? How are you able to respond to what is showing up in your world without having to physically see it with your eye, you see? And there's so many things that are changing in the world, and not just to say a cliche, like really changing how we communicate with each other. That even though I may see something differently and you may see something differently, you might hear something differently, I might hear something differently, but are you able to connect from your heart all the time? Like really connect, like really feel into things more than the words that you're hearing. Because you see, words cause spellings. Words have many meanings. Words have many different connotations, syllables, punctuations, paragraphs, you know. And it has caused so much confusion on the planet with words. Words that are spoken that were not meant to be. Words that are never spoken, you see. And so I have a huge pet peeve when it comes to communication. Very big, very big. That's one of my main things to talk about so much on the earth, is how we communicate with each other. The main communication that's going to exist is telepathically from our hearts. Not even what we physically see. I mean, even when we're looking physically in each other's eyes, what is my eye saying to you? Right? What is my eye saying to you? Not even if I'm speaking the words. You know how many times when I remember when I had physical contact with my twin, and I'm telling you, this is so true. This is the experience that I had, and everyone is going to have this experience when you get to that place. Is where it's like his soul was communicating to me. You heard what I said. His soul. It wasn't just his heart. His soul means the entire concept, the entire consciousness of who he is and I am as him and him as me was communicating. And I heard him say, "I love you, Sharon." And I was like, what is it? And I didn't know we were on a twin soul path. All I knew was what I heard. And this was when I was physically in his presence. And I was like, oh my God, why am I hearing him? That's what I said. Why am I hearing him? But I didn't feel spooked. I just thought it was fascinating. And I knew something was different. I knew something. This is where, again, source energy is having for us to stop only to what is you're expecting in the physical world. Also, remember to navigate to what you're feeling. You're feeling. This is one thing I always talk about without even anything else I've ever said before, is that I realize feeling is the true language of the soul. What you're feeling, not what you're speaking, not even what you're smelling, not even what you're seeing. The feelings, it's something of the essence of your soul. And it's like that's the navigation. And so how many of you are connecting to your soul? Because whether you're not conscious of it or not, your soul is already coming in more and more with being that, is connecting from your soul, connecting from your heart. Okay, it all comes together, absolutely. And it happened to me again where I heard him and felt him say to me that he loved me, and it happened last July. So when I felt that energy and I had that experience with him was back in 2014. And it happened again on his birthday, and I heard him say to me, "Sharon, I just want to kiss you, and I want you to sing to me happy birthday." And I really did sing to him. It wasn't his birthday, but I sang to him before, and I did sing to him on his birthday back in 2014. And so I felt it in my heart. I felt it in my entire being. That is where God is taking you to that level. It's like we're taking like huge quantum leaps when it comes to these connections. I said connections. Will it turn into relationship? It's already interrelating. We're already interrelating. But are you able to interrelate without being stuck? Are you able to interrelate and connect without feeling, attached to everything, attached to what the person says or does, attached to what somebody else may say? If someone says to you, "Oh, that's not your twin," are you going to get affected by that? Or are you going to be in your sovereignty and your truth with that? If someone says, "Oh, this is not what you're supposed to do. This is are you going to be affected by that? Or are you going to follow your inner knowing of what is true for you? Because, it's like the things that is happening on the earth right now, like we say in Jamaica, it's just dibby dibby. When we say dibby dibby, it means like it's just kind of minimized, because there's greater things that are coming for you when it comes to your path with your twin soul. And it's because of what's templating in the physical sense. So I'm going to read some comments, and I'm going to also share something else with you. Okay, Sophia, you says you're not going to lie. You went through this, so it'd be nice to see his purpose come to life now that you're aware. Yeah, well, everything comes into your own awareness and purpose, Sophia, based on how much more you are. You ready for this? you're remembering yourself as Alice, the muchness. I said this to myself this morning before I went to sleep. I was like, wow, I finally come back to my muchness. When the Mad Hatter says, you're not as muchier as you used to be. And it's like, are you able to see yourself in all realities? Because we can't take away anything. Because I know some people say, oh, stop focusing on the 3D and just stay in the 5D. No, we can't do that because we're still in the physical body. We're still in a dimension that is coming together and happening simultaneously. So it's foolish to think that we're going to separate, because everything has been in separation. We've already been pulling apart for centuries to see ourselves and to observe ourselves, from the soul, from your soul to your physical body. Like your soul is looking and saying, wow, look at me. Oh, wow, look at what I feel here. And when you feel this inner freedom, it's like whatever your purpose is, it's going to happen anyway. It's just that you just have to keep aligning with it. You have to keep aligning with it and keep remembering and remembering and remembering and getting past all the barriers, the fears, the blocks. All the blocks is what we're releasing to our sacred union. And we're in union already. I know I did a reading with a very good friend of mine last night. I mean, we were on the phone for hours. And I was so grateful that she allowed me to go deep with her, that even the more she said certain words, because I was seeing things differently in the energy, and I kept correcting her, and I kept correcting her, and I kept correcting her. And I said, see it this way. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Like really, like when the person is speaking to you and she's talking about her twin and what she was perceiving. And I said, now look at it from a viewpoint, from a lens of, this is something magical. This is something that's never been done on earth before. This is something that has never been done on earth and sustained on earth before. This has to do with what's coming together with all the planetary systems that are within you, okay? What's being regenerated. And that if we think the thought, oh, let me just start with something else, then you ask yourself this question, what part are you choosing? Are you choosing harmony? Are you choosing a harmonious relationship that you can have with yourself and that's connected to someone else who's also working on themselves, and being patient with that? Because I know for me, it's difficult at times for me to have certain conversations, but I'm grateful that there are people coming my way that I'm able to have these type of conversations, that's stimulating for me, because I love to be stimulated. Like really, I love having these stimulating type of connections and conversations with others that I have contact with talking and speaking. And it's even happening where it doesn't even matter what age they are, It's delightful for me. Even my own daughter had this conversation last night with her, and I told her, I said, oh, guess what? I said, we ended a huge karmic cycle because it was 3/30/2019. It was exactly 1 year ago that I was evicted out of my home. And I can't begin to tell you how painful that was. And that was like I was reliving that moment back in ancient Kemet, Egypt, where I was evicted out of that area because of who I am, because people wanted to be in separation consciousness and I was into the oneness, I was into the unity consciousness. And so I still took on my brave self and I slayed the dragon, I took up my Vorpal sword and whatever it is that I did at that moment, and I still didn't give up because I knew what the truth was for me, that we're all one. You see, we're all one, and each one of us are going through all these different scenarios here of what comes together as we separated ourselves and coming back together. So my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, then says to me, oh, I know about karma. I know that the karma is ending, and now we're in the Dharma. And I said, what you know about Dharma? She said, oh, I studied it in school, Mommy. She said, because I studied religion. I said, what religion? She said, the Hindu. They talk about karma and Dharma. And so many of us, like I said, is like a lot of us have been ending so many of the repeating karmic loops, especially surrounding relationships. Because relationships have been the key and the tools to who we have become, who we are, how much we are evolving, as a soul. And that the relationships that exist on earth now is just not going to be the same. So I know some people ask me, like, what if they're not on a twin soul path? What if they're just married already? Then something's going to be shifting. Something's going to be changing. Something's going to be evolving with those people, with how they're connected. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's just more of the mask is coming off, and really being authentic with ourselves, and being authentic with who you are, and speaking up, speaking your truth, not compromising yourself anymore. You see, because the more we do that, and the more we stay steadfast with it, right, and we're just embodying this truth, and we're just bringing it out there, is the more it's planting on earth, and it's the more that it's transmuting out, and it's like a burst of light that continues to bring up the darkness. So when you see the darkness, when you see the stuff that you may not want to see, face it head on, face it like a bulldozer. Okay, because that's what I've had to do, and I found myself having greater inner peace than I've never had before in a very long time. So I'm going to go to some more comments, and I'm going to share something else with you. Sophia said, you think in terms of the energy of stabilities when you think about relationship energy. Doing life alone is not easy. Yes, it's not impossible to go. Yeah, I know. It's not easy to navigate through the relationship energy. I know. I mean, I have so many different relationships with people dynamically, and that has been one of my, I don't want to use the word challenge, but it has been one of the things that I've had to master. So I'd rather say master through it, okay? Because I love people. I love how we can connect with each other, because each one of us holds a key and a code to something else that's coming forth. You see what I'm saying? And so each time that I connect to someone, I get fascinated, because I know there's something more that's coming through, and then it kind of puts the pieces together to the puzzle. And then each time that I make that connection, and then it may go into a physical separation, and then it may come back again, and then something else is going to be coming forward in full blast. You see what I'm saying? So be mindful. Here's another advice message I can give, is be mindful of the words that we speak. Like really, really mindful, because we don't realize how many times we repeat certain words, and it goes out there, and then it starts to form into matter. You know, that's why when they say the word, what's the matter? You know, what is the matter? What is it that we're creating in this physical sense? Because as we are shifting so much in who we are, even with the work that you do, it probably is changing. A lot of things are changing. Things that maybe you have not stood up for, you're finally finding yourself standing up for it. Not to mention, I've also have been having so many dreams that I'm not remembering. And it's because if you're not remembering your dreams, it's okay, because anything that's in the subconscious mind is not supposed to stay in our memory anymore. Because imagine if we've had over, I can't even count it. Maybe over 600,000 lifetimes. It's a lot of lifetimes that we've known, have so much information and data that's coming through. And what's important is to let that go if you're not remembering, because you're releasing things from the subconscious mind because of these new templates on earth that is happening. You know, they say on earth as it is in heaven. So anyway, one of the things that happened through me was on March 21st, which was when it was the spring equinox. And this was hours before my brother's father transitioned. I was in a very deep, highly charged, activated conversation with a friend of mine who's also on the path. And I started speaking in tongues and all this stuff. And I knew that something powerful was happening. And so I had visitation from Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, Bhagavad Gita. There was also, oh my gosh, I can't even remember all these names, but I even had the energy of Yemayan or Batala or Shun. It was just coming in the floodgates. And when I say I was so charged up that I couldn't even sleep for hours. And then all of a sudden there was like a portal that opened up, and I started to get all these downloads and revelations that was coming through to do with a lot of twin souls. And they were bringing me to the continent of Africa. And what they were showing me again was something to do with the energy of Tesla. When I was on my way to the burial site to do with my brother's father, I saw a cloud formation. I did post it on my Instagram story, but it's like I get so busy, and it's like being able to catch up with everything and what I have to say. It's just like, it's just so much. And so what happens, it was in a swirl motion like this, and it looks like a coil. And so what they were showing with me was everything that was interconnecting, you know, especially with the sequence of numbers 144, the 369, and everything that was pushing through from the solar plexus, and 555. I was seeing 555 constantly. So what they showed me on March 21st was that somewhere, it could have been somewhere around the Atlantic Ocean, but it was somewhere near Africa, because there were many of the twin soul pairs they showed me that was migrated, or they went to the continent of Africa itself, so many countries. And it was so much energy that what happened is they showed me that darkness started to emanate. Okay, there was light, and then it became dark. And what happened is that's when the grid started to collapse. So what they showed me was that some of these grids were coming up to the surface, and it was already up to the surface. So something happened that day, that there was a lot of transmissions and energy that was flowing through with the water. So I had to drink a lot of water on that day. And all that energy that was flowing through me, I started oh my gosh. And the thing is that between me and Tevon, it's like it was so powerful. It was like because he carries the embodiment of the masculine and feminine, okay? So what happens is it was bringing in a trigger of like the quadrants of some sort. And so what they showed me was that things were being activated within us individually. And then there are those who are, once they come into a physical connection with their twin, that is going to then allow us to ascend onto the new grid, because the new grid is still not here. That's what they're showing me. The new grid is still not here. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm telling you, in all honesty, what was shown to me, regardless of what anyone else has said, because I kept seeing it and seeing it and seeing it. And I was like, wow, this is really powerful. So we're still being prepared within ourselves, especially the divine feminine, and the divine masculine is still going through their own initiations and purification, because everything that's been happening with us during Mercury retrograde has been a constant continuation of purification. Okay, purification, especially to do with your emotional body. The emotional body is the key thing. That means anything that you've been holding within yourself, with sadness, sorrow, depression, anger, disappointments, feeling let down, feeling abandoned, feeling like you don't know where you belong, like this unknown zone. It's all these things, that has happened. Or even if you feel like you can't move forward with where your life is taking you, with your path, that you're now releasing that energy of whatever that has held you back from past lives and this life. Do you see what I'm saying? So that way you're able to move forward. So that's basically like what, was being shown to me. So I'm going to go to more comments. You said you love that Mars in Gemini communication is powerful. Yes. I didn't even realize Mars was in Gemini. So it definitely does depict the balance of, I would even say, like, how I would look at it too with Mars and Gemini without being an astrologer is, they keep telling me stop saying that because I still am in a different way. I remember when I used to have conversations with my twin, he was seeing something different than what I was seeing. And so when it comes to the twin soul path, is to remember that we see things from different perspectives, okay? Seeing things from different eyes, from different views, where it's not based on right and wrong, it's just a different perspective. And it doesn't mean that you're exactly the same match, but you're similar, but you also still have differences. Are you able to be in the name and the space of unconditional love, regardless of what that person may perceive or see or how they interact with you? Do you see what I'm saying? So that's how it exists with twins. And I know that I've been very conscious of the things that I remember to do with however he perceived things and how I perceive things. You know what I mean? And I find it to be interesting and fascinating, because then it would be quite boring if we were exactly the same. Because there are no two snowflakes that are alike. Well, it's the same things when it comes to your twin pair, the twin pair. And knowing that whatever the connection is that you have, you're at a particular frequency with them, and that you don't have to think that they're not in alignment with you, because I know that's another perception that's existed with so many. They will think that, oh, he doesn't, he or she doesn't really, we're not on the same level because they're not saying certain things or they're not doing something. And that's a false teaching. Also be mindful that how do I say it? Like, the time has come, what they have told me, this is recently, the time has come now where those dark energies that have tried to stop twins from coming together, be in your power, because it's very subtle that it can come in for you to think, oh, well, this is not going to happen. Oh, well, they're married to someone else, or they went off to be with someone else, or there's no contact, or, stuff like that. So I'm just going to, create to be with someone else or something like that. And that's still a part of the subtle way that the dark energies come in for you to think that it's not going to happen. Okay. And, it comes in very, very easily, because I hear how people talk, and I hear the things that are out there in videos and stuff like that. Or the other one I hear too is, it's not going to happen in this lifetime. Why would it happen in this lifetime? Use, common sense. It would happen in this lifetime, because we're in the ascension time frame right now. The power that's coming with these unions is not something, again, that has ever been done before. It's never been experienced before. It's never gotten this far before. So it can kind of subtly come in where someone might say, oh, why you don't have a boyfriend? Why you not married yet? Or why don't you come and meet so-and-so? So I'm not saying not to meet anyone, but just be mindful again of how it comes out, because it could even come through from someone that you love and care about, that means you well. And if they're not understanding the fullness of this path and what it means, then people can be easily diverted, or you might get derailed. So be conscious again of what you speak, what you're taking in, what you're perceiving, what are you projecting, and does it feel like it is the highest and the best for what's happening right now on planet Earth? Okay, so I wanted to at least to emphasize that greatly, to be mindful of what is being spoken into your spirit. What are you taking into your vortex? What are you allowing to come in through your life force? What are you giving out to your life force? Okay. And are you still in separation consciousness, or are you seeing everything coming together as one? How are you perceiving it? You see? Very important to remember that. And don't forget to dance. Keep dancing, keep laughing, keep doing something different for yourself, because all of that energy is also what brings things together. Because it's so easy to want to stay in the sorrow and the sadness and all that stuff, but how long are you staying there? Because you see, if you're in so much of a rejoicing energy, then it just takes one little thing to come, and then all of a sudden the balloon just pop, and you just go right back into that energy that someone would like for you to be in, those little energies, because they're in fear of the light. They're in fear of being exposed. They're in fear of all these masks that are coming off all around, because that's what's happening. Mask off. A lot of masks are coming off. And, being authentic and saying, yes, I'm authentic. Yes, I keep it real. But then when the time comes when someone comes up to you and say, oh, what are you talking about? That's foolishness. Are you going to compromise yourself and say, oh, no, I'm not going to talk about it? Or are you going to now say, this is my path and this is what it means, and be with integrity with it? You see what I'm saying? And that's important, because if you're not able to be in your truth with that and authentic with that, how can you expect anyone else around you to be the same? You see, that it has to start from you, and it's so important to stay in your lane and keep it moving with things. Keep it moving. Whatever you know to be true, keep it going. Keep moving on. Keep trekking to. No matter what part of yourself is showing up, whether it's the small Alice, you're too big to go to the door, you find another key. There's always another way. You're never alone. Let go of thinking, oh, I'm so lonely. And you're not lonely. You're not lonely. That's just another illusion that's created because people think that the only way that you can be fulfilled is by being with someone else. I know that even if I said I wanted to be lonely, it doesn't happen because I always have somebody or, love is always present. Love is always with me. So you see, it's all those gaps that you may feel if you feel that you're lonely. And, I say in my words, I say rebuke that energy because it's so much different consciousness that's out there that people are carrying. And when I look at people like in a group and I look at them and I say, wow, this one has this and this one has that. I don't go too deep. And I was like, and then remember, it goes in layers with all of this programming, all these programming, you see? And so feeling free and freedom, as what Tessa's talking about, because you see, the connection that comes with twin souls is that we are creating the free energy on earth. We're not supposed to be in bondage, and all that slavery energy and stuff is what's leaving finally, okay? Including the work we do or how we work. If you're feeling like you're in bondage with your work, time to get out of Dodge, okay? And that spirit nudging you and getting you to get out of that slavery energy, And I know even some of us are probably on in a sort of a way where, we have bills to pay. We have a lot of the physical stuff to take care of. But this is us being in sovereignty the way we were as what I call the Garden of Eden, where we're free inside and we're still prosperous. Remember who you are within your creativity, because twin souls are here to be creative. We're here to create things on earth, not necessarily doing things and building on what we do. Because if you're still just doing, then you might get lost in the shuffle, and then you might find yourself feeling like as if you're suffering, and spirit is going to continue to bring the chaos, bring the stuff if you're not really listening with the sacred ears to where you feel that you should go. And a lot of times I know we may feel like, can I really do this? Because, I don't know what's going to happen when I open that door. Nothing's going to jump out of you because all of that boogeyman stuff, again, is programming. So because if you do something that's different, that's never been done before, you don't need anybody's permission, then you feel like, well, it may not work out. And that's where, again, this has to do with your connection to the divine and to source. Because you know what? My motto has always been, even if someone who I may call, which I'm very conscious with what I call people with names, unless, of course, it's necessary. It depends on what names you're talking about. But I'm talking about like saying enemy, okay? You never know that the enemy might be your footstool, because I've had that where I choose peace. When you choose peace, no matter what someone feels about you or what they do or say, it really doesn't matter because you stay within your own power. And also, you don't shut the door because you never know who you may need and where that person may fit into that piece of the puzzle to who you are. Everything and all things will show up, or that shows up as the opposite of you, or what you feel goes against you is actually for you, because it is pushing you to become the greater version of you. And as you do that within yourself, it also accelerates the divine masculine to also be in their truth, to also be steadfast in what it means to be in that true masculine energy and not what existed before on earth, which has to do with working hard for the money and slavery and enslavement. Are you still watching slavery movies? Why? Do you still want to keep getting upset? I got to keep it real. I choose for things to change. And for things to change, we have to be mindful of what we're taking into our subconscious mind again. What are we coming back to again? Are we still enslaving ourselves mentally, emotionally? Especially the emotional slavery, because it's so easy when somebody says, oh, do this way because it runs in the family. This is tradition. Okay? When you know in your heart that you're being led in another direction. And because people are not used to the change, they're not used to what's different, then they try to deter you. And that's when the little dark energies come in and make you feel like you're playing tricks on your head, like don't do that, don't do that. No, that's not right. Oh, if you do that, that's the devil. Oh, that's the demons. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. So be mindful and conscious of what you're taking in from others when it comes to stepping into your true full power. Again, I go back to that moment with Alice when the dog, as big as he was, said, no, that's not the way you're supposed to go. And she said, no, this is where we're going to go because I make the path. That was the key for me in that movie. And I watched it more again. I make the path. Wonder Woman, the remake Wonder Woman, when Ares was up against her, when he said, why are you still helping those humans? Don't you see they're killing themselves? They're this and they're that. And isn't that typical of some people to come to you and say, why are you trying to help that person? Why are you doing this? They're not doing, what is it doing for you? But we got to be mindful and think, if we don't allow ourselves to where we're being guided to, or however we're being placed, if we don't change within ourselves or where we've been placed, then things are not going to change, and no matter what, change is still happening whether we like it or not. And so Ares went up against Wonder Woman. She had to find her true power within herself, right? And where did she find it? Right here, right in the center right here. You see? And so no matter what, she found that power. And what did she say? She said, love is what led the way. She said, there is something within us that's dormant that we're giving rise to. And it's to remember that. And that's why we're here, to awaken each other to remembering that and to keep going with it and see the greater picture. Keep seeing the greater picture of what this purpose is of us reincarnating here on the earth and being here on earth, okay? On earth, bringing this heaven on earth that people have not. But I can tell you this, that I have been witnessing more and more people being awakened. I really have. And for me, it's a delight. And it doesn't even matter what age. It's a 70-year-old, a 60-year-old. And all I know is that I see the bigger picture. I see the bigger picture to what's changing, what's happening. When I saw Captain Marvel, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to when me start flying too again. You think I'm scared to say that? If anybody says, oh, is she crazy? Because I don't put my thoughts there. I know what is coming. I know what is happening. I can feel it. And it's like we're really releasing all the restrictions of everything that has been placed, even and including to do with money and the finances and the bondage that has been placed with institutions like education and banking systems, the mortgage companies. I know I'm here for all these things, and we're breaking down these systems. Uranus and Taurus is just breaking down. My North Node is in Taurus. So, anything that is not serving the highest purpose for humanity is what we're here for. But more than anything else, true love. True love has not even been experienced on earth in a very long time either. Hardly ever. Because people are so used to their fakeness and being fake. They, what else have I seen? Where if you're present with love, they're expecting something, or there's a condition placed on it. You know what I mean? Hey, brother-in-law, you on here? Hey, Jordan. They're expecting something. And, love has no conditions. Love knows no boundaries. Love puffeth not itself. There's not supposed to be any restrictions with love. I don't have to know you to say that I love you and hug you. A matter of fact, when I go places, people don't want to sit down and we're talking. And it's like I've known you for a long time, for a lifetime, many lifetimes. And when you come around me, I know that I'm bringing you some joy and laughter. Does sorrow come with it? Of course. But guess what? It lasts for maybe like a millisecond. You see what I'm saying? So imagine when each one of us keeps that inner light going, and that you still continue with your dharma, like my daughter said, what she knew without me saying it to her, because she's in tuned. Pay attention to these children, because they have it right. They know the deal. They know what's coming. They know what's coming. Because even my own son surprised me. Damon, I always tease about Damon. I tell him how he don't pay attention to stuff. And I asked him about a choice between where would they research for information on stuff. And I told him, I said, what do you think is going to happen when we don't have any more cell phones? And you know what he said to me? He's 21. He said, telepathy? I said, you're doggone right. Telepathy. Communicating from the heart. Communicating through song. How would you feel if I started singing to you instead of talking, right? And you hear me change my accent again. Are you laughing? Hi, how are you today? Oh, I love you. You know, all of that is what raises the frequency. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, when I talk about the females and changing your hairstyles, what else? Some may put on the makeup because there's a connection to Mother Earth with the elements of the earth and the jewelry and all that stuff. It empowers you. There is something that connects you to all of earth, the stones, the crystals and all that stuff. And all of those structures say, don't do this and don't do that. It is of this and it's of that. Why do you think? Because it's to dumb things down. Well, there's no more dumbing anything down. It is time for you to find that niche within you of what empowers you. I don't care if you put on platform shoes. That's why I remember when I had my truck and I wanted to be higher up in the truck and I didn't know why. And I'm thinking about feeling this crown energy. And you see, all of this is what you are reclaiming for yourself and with your twin soul, okay? Or your sacred true partner, or your sacred love and your true love, okay? That's what this is all about. So just remember again to pay attention to what you are perceiving with what you are experiencing, and how much are you detaching from outcomes, circumstances. How much are you detaching from other people's emotions and what they're going through? It's one thing to have empathy, but then when you're in the sympathy, sometimes things will happen where people will try to manipulate you based on what they want and how they want things to be. And they have their little temper tantrums, or they don't want things to change, or they want things to be the same. You know, are you able to detach from that and still understand that they're going through their own phase of what they are releasing, and that you're moving through another energy portal? That's why they showed me the spiral thing, because each time there's one portal that's opening up, and then there's another one that's opening up, and then there's another one. The new moon is coming in this week. I'll be back again for whatever happens. I do plan to come on. I really am trying hard, because I haven't done this in a while. I really am going to try to go on to YouTube Live over there to go into like questions and answers. Also, I was also going to be putting this out there as an offer to anyone who might be interested in me doing a healing reading session for you. The first 3 people to contact me, but this is going to be live, because I choose for someone to want to be a part of this, where others will be able to hear what it's like, for how you can get to heal and to shift, and to have something shown to you from a perspective of what you're going through. And so I'm offering to do this on Instagram Live more likely, because I want it to be where it's shared in all platforms. I may do it on Facebook, I'm not sure. But I said the first 3 set of people that send me, you could send me an email at thegardenofeden1111@gmail.com. Or you can send me an instant message, if anything. And this is where I'll be talking with you for about an hour. We can cover anything, but just know that it's going to be publicly live. Because, you know, each time that we heal with something, we never know, someone out there might also heal from it as well, and where it can take you. I was so grateful that someone contacted me on Keen for a healing. And when she started out in the conversation, she wanted to find out about her twin relationship, okay? And I told her, I said, you know, Spirit is telling me that there is something for you to look at, to do with yourself, okay? Because we don't realize that a lot of times the blocks are within us as to something that we need to look at what that block is. And we don't know how deep it goes in the subconscious mind, okay? And sometimes it's not even in the subconscious mind. Sometimes it's just right here within your soul. It could be in your heart. It could be in your kidney, your liver, you know, because it's energy. It's energy. And so by the time I finished talking to her, I told her I saw something to do with her father being killed in another life. Well, guess what? She told me her father was killed in this life by a plane crash. And she bawled and she bawled and she bawled. And I I held my composure and I told her, it's okay, let it out, cry and cry and cry. Because, a lot of times we've been taught, and especially with males, don't cry, keep it in, suck it up, you're a big boy, and all of that is what has been so damaging to why a lot of relationships have not been able to be sustained on earth, because of these teachings within our families that have been passed on from generation, that you're not to feel, you're not to cry, or, okay, that's enough now, no more. No, let the person grieve and cry. I still cry. Sometimes I cry with laughter, and sometimes I cry with sorrow. Okay, it's a part of the cycle of life and being. It is how we connect also. Do you see what I'm saying? And I was grateful that I was there, available for her, to help her to heal that wound of separation that was through her dad, that was blocking her to be able to connect to who she's connected to, you see? Because it transcends from one person to the next, and to the next, and to the next, you see? And so anything that you may feel that is a block to you, of course, your soul will bring you to it. Your soul will bring you to it. And when it does come, are you able to identify with it? Are you able to see it for what it is? And sometimes it takes talking to someone that I apologize, I'm burping. When we're burping, that means I'm processing. So uno momento. And I'm playing music in the background too. What else is new, right? But either way, when we're able to identify with our emotional body more than anything else, because I realize, based on so many readings that I do, that the emotional body is what is so necessary to heal things that we keep inside of us that we are not letting out, because even after leaving the funeral this week, I came home and I was on the toilet for over 2 hours. Seriously. So it was all that energy that was leaving and leaving and leaving. So either way, we're going deeper in all of this purification, and it's coming out through your body, whether it's through tears or urination or defecation somehow. And it's to let it flow. Just let it flow. And how we're connecting to the water. This water and free energy is what's coming through with us in what is changing on earth. It's not supposed to cost us money to love. It's not supposed to cost us money to live. We're not, there's no need to survive. It's just to be. It's just to be. And remembering how much we can be in this creative space, okay? And when you're in this creative space, that means that, remember, you're creating magic. We're creating magic. And this is magic that no one has ever seen before, because we've been chastised, criticized, judged, maimed, killed, burned at the stake, buried alive. All these different things we've gone through before. And all that stuff that we've gone through the Spirit says it's now going to the Akashic records. We don't have to go digging back into it again. You see what I'm saying? If you're going through any past life regression, remember that it's to help you to release the pain that you've also attached to from your experiences. And that the part of you that has been great with that experience, you're taking that with you. So you're not releasing all of it, it's just some of it. Because we're continuously going through a life review. You're going through life review through your ancestors, those who are not here in the physical body. Remember that. Okay? Because if they left out of their body and they still didn't heal something, guess what? That's what we're here for. To help with all that energy to keep flowing and moving itself out. Okay? And then what we're taking in is just being at that 0 point. That 0 point. That's why when the full moon came in, it was at that 0 point. And so we're activating something else even more within ourselves to be able to move forward. And it feels fresh, centered, and free. That's how you're supposed to feel. And it has nothing to do with, oh, I had to go do something in order to feel it. No, it had to do with whatever you were releasing and what you're changing from your viewpoint again with how you had perceived things. Okay? So you can now let that go. And forgiveness also. Forgiveness, Sometimes we think that we've forgiven something and then it shows up again because you're going through another layer. We're going in layers. It's like really peeling back all these, the onion, as one would say, peeling back the onion, peeling back all the pieces so that way you're just back to that purification of the heart, and that's what was revealed to me many years ago when I started out the book. I was in the water, in the tub, and I heard Spirit say, we're going back to the purification of our souls. So anyway, lovely souls, it's about to end. I wish I could speak some more. If you would love to have a private reading, please feel free to contact me. And I love you. I will be back again. I send you so much love on this day. Don't forget to love. Don't forget to laugh. Don't forget to dance. Okay? Namaste.